Today is May 19th, 2018, and we are in Moline, Illinois. My name is Peter Sun. I will be interviewing Ed Skolnick for the Illinois Veterans History Project on behalf of the Moline Public Library. Ed Skolnick was born on August 30th, 1924, and is 92 years old. Also present is Trayton Lamphere. So, for our first question, do you have any siblings which have served in the military?
Do I what?
Have any siblings that served in the military?
No.
So you were in. And then when you, were you enlisted or were you drafted?
Nope. I was drafted.
World War II?
Huh?
Were you drafted to World War II?
Well, I was drafted World War II.
What happened when you departed for training camp and during your early days of training?
What happened? What?
Like the beginning of your military career, like when you first went to training.
Well, I was drafted in 1946, and I went directly to Cedar Rapids, and from there I went let's see, I went to Des Moines, and from there I went overseas.
Did you receive any specialized training?
No.
How did you adapt to military life, including the physical regimen, barracks, food, and social life?
Military life, I like it.
What do you like about it?
Well, it was different. Everything was different.
How so?
Huh?
How so? How was it different?
Well, you had to go by their rules, and I just it was just different.
Where did you serve?
In this country or overseas?
Overseas.
In Germany, France, England. From there, I went directly into the military.
If you were on the front lines, what combat action did you witness?
I was a 264th combat engineer, and we went overseas, and that's when I got taken in by the Germans.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah, like how were you captured, and then what happened after you were captured?
Well, I was captured and taken to to one of their camps, and it wasn't good. You had to listen to them.
How were you treated?
How was I treated? Not too good.
Not too good.
How long were you a prisoner of war?
In the prisoner of war, I was there a year.
How are you released?
And then how were you released?
Huh?
How were you released?
How was I what?
Released. How did you...
How did you get out of the prisoner of war camp?
Well, I served my time, and then I was discharged.
Where were you when the war ended?
I was in Germany.
After the war, how did you readjust to civilian life?
How did I what?
Readjust to civilian life.
Well, like I said, I was military 3 years, and I was treated sometime good, and then again we had to march with them, and then I went to they took me to a camp, and that's when I was mistreated.
That's like, what was your biggest memory from your time?
What was your biggest memory?
What was I what?
Your biggest memory,
My biggest memory,
or like
While
your most.
like
While
what?
serving, what was your biggest memory of what you did while serving?
My biggest memory, I was taken in by the prisoners, their military, and they put me in a camp, and I was treated, sometimes good, sometimes not.
What was going through your head like when you were captured? Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Well, I thought they were going to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in a German military camp. That's when, and they took me in. I was treated. They sometimes they were, I was mistreated at times.
Did you meet or become friends with any other like prisoners of war? Like, do you remember any?
I was what?
Did you remember any like friends or people you met at the prisoner of war camp that you like
No, I
became
didn't.
friends with? No.
No.
Did you make any friends in the military?
Did I make friends?
And what are those? What do you remember from those friendships?
I made friends, and then again, I was taken into a room. They fed me water. They fed me food, which I didn't like. they, and then they put me in a dark room, and that's when they asked me all kinds of questions about our military. I did not answer any of them. I wasn't supposed to.
Are you a member of any veterans organizations?
Did I what?
Are you a part of any veterans organizations?
Yes.
If so, which?
You mean here in this country?
Yeah.
I was in California. That's where I was taken into a camp. They asked me all kinds of questions, and I didn't answer any of it. I wasn't supposed to. And they just mistreated me. They fed me water, food, which I didn't like. And then so they took me back to a camp, their military camp, and I was told to run so many miles. They brought me back, and they fed me water again. The food, I don't know what I ate.
After the war, what'd you do once you got home?
After the war, what?
What'd you do once you got home after the war?
I just took it easy.
You took it easy. Went back to life before the war.
And what?
What are some life lessons you learned from the military?
What kind of what?
What are some life lessons you learned from the military?
What kind of life? Is that what you're
Lessons.
asking me?
Life lessons.
Huh?
Morals or
Like, what kind of lessons did you learn from your time in the military? Like, what'd you learn during your time in the military?
When I was in, what I learned
Yeah, what'd you learn?
in the military,
Yeah.
not to say a thing, because I was captured, and they put me in a camp. Like I say, they fed me water. They fed me food, which I didn't like. And then they questioned me about my military. And I was told not to say anything.
What do you think kids today could learn from your experiences in the war?
Say that again.
What do you think people today can learn from your experiences in the war? Like, what do you think you can teach them?
I don't think they did. They asked me that. They just asked me questions about the military. When I was captured, they put me in a camp. And I had to run every day. They come back and they fed me water, food, which I didn't like, and they took me out in a field and told me to run.
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
Did I what?
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed and would like to add to this interview?
Well, nothing. I was captured and put in a camp, and I was fed water sometime. They questioned me. They questioned me about my military, and I was told not to say a thing.
Okay.
About when I was captured. They put me in a dark room, and they asked me all kinds of questions about military life, and I was told not to say anything.
That is it for the interview. Thank you for your time and your service to our country.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a nice day.
Today is May 19th, 2018, and we are in Moline, Illinois. My name is Peter Sun. I will be interviewing Ed Skolnick and Candace, his daughter, for the Illinois Veterans History Project on behalf of the Moline Public Library. Ed Skolnick was born on August 30th, 1924, and is 92 years old. Also present is training. We know that you served in Germany, but where specifically in Germany did you serve?
They what?
Where specifically did you serve in Germany?
Now, where does this go?
They're doing a project, Dad.
Yeah.
I know.
It goes to the Illinois Veterans History Project, which is like they're compiling all the stories of veterans who
Okay.
we want to get their stories because
Germany.
yeah, and so they're gonna compile it into the Illinois State Library and have it.
Is that where this is going?
Yeah, this is where the interview will go. Yeah.
To the library.
Yeah, to the state library.
Well, that's good.
Do you remember what town you were in Germany?
I was in I don't remember exactly what
It's okay if you don't remember. You don't have.
the name. I don't know.
Luxembourg?
Huh?
Luxembourg? Were you in Luxembourg?
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. No.
Okay.
Buchenwald.
Bucking
Buchenwald?
That was a military camp
is a military
where
camp
I was put.
in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And-
then, Candace, were you
Yes.
born before, during, or after the war?
Way after.
Way after.
And then, Ed,
That's the combat.
were you in combat? And then, what were your duties and what did you do?
I was in combat. That's how I got captured.
Yeah. What were your combat duties? Like in combat, what was your job?
Huh?
What was your job during combat? Like, what were you tasked to do?
We were training to fight. We were put in a camp.
Right, he was on the ground crew, and since he's Jewish, just before he got captured, well, he knew he buried his dog tags. Otherwise,
That would not have.
Yeah.
My dog tag, I got rid of.
yeah,
They told me
bury him.
to get rid of it.
Yeah. So he was tortured while he was in camp, or in. They pulled his hair out of his head, starved him, of course, and all the. Yeah. But he was one of the lucky ones because it was towards the end of the war and he was able to survive and get out. So. But he was an engineer, so he was the fighting combat,
Yeah.
but he also did engineer work for him too. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So would you like? I heard that. I know that a big thing that the engineers did at the end of the war were to try and build bridges because on the way to Germany they destroyed a lot of bridges. So did you do any kind of like bridge building, or what kind of engineering duties did you do?
You mean over where I was at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had me run all the time. A lot of times they fed me just water, no food.
He's asking about, did you contribute to rebuilding the bridges after the war?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were, because during the war, we repaired 2 bridges, which was knocked down, by the enemy. Well, we worked at that.
Yeah.
After the war, how are you received by your family and community?
How was I what?
Received by your family and community.
Oh, they were very, very happy that I made it home.
On a side note, he had 3 brothers, and all 4 of them were in World War II, and they all 4 survived. So, Dad was in the Army, and then he had a brother in the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marines. So back then they separated them. But huge celebration in Muscatine, Iowa, when they all come rolling home. So.
After the war, how did you readjust to
How
civilian?
did I what?
Readjust to civilian life.
It was hard. It was hard. I couldn't sleep. It was just, I had too much on my mind about being in a camp over there, and it just kept me going.
And then, how did your wartime experiences affect your life?
How did I what?
Your wartime experiences affect your life.
It did affect my life. I didn't know where I was going. First trip was in California. There, we did some more training.
He's wanting to know, like, after the war, once you got back to Muscatine, like, how did you get through life, and what
How did?
do you think that the Army helped you succeed, or do you think?
They did help me.
He ended up working for the Rock Island Arsenal for 35 years after that. Didn't you? He was a machinist. He made gun barrels. Didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And can we see like where he is in the
Yes.
I'm gonna try and set it up.
so this is his training battalion in California. And
Can you face
Yep,
the
sorry.
camera a little bit? We can you can scoot it over closer if you
I
want.
figure out where he's the only one looking the other way with a grin on his face. The only guy smiling.
Trying to find me?
Yeah,
There you are. Is that right there? Yep. I'm sorry.
it's alright. You can take your time.
I'm in there.
Oh, there you are. Right there. He's right there.
Yeah. Let me try and focus the camera a little bit. Where'd you say? Oh, I see him
Right,
looking away.
he's
and
looking the
smiling.
other way and smiling. He's the only guy smiling in the whole picture. But they don't have, these pictures are rare, very
Yeah,
rare.
they're very rare. Mm-hmm. Not many stay in that kind of condition after that
Yeah.
long. Hmm. Are there any other like stories that we haven't asked about that you know? Is there anything we haven't asked about that you'd like to say or talk about?
I always ask, they always ask me how my military life, helped me.
Mm-hmm.
In one way, yes. Another way, no.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had one praying mother, though, to get all 4 boys home safely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Definitely, somebody was looking out for y'all. And,
Somebody up above was,
yeah.
helped me.
Mm-hmm.
So, here in these pictures, he's got a full head of hair, and he came home, bald, and he's been bald this is his high
Yeah.
school graduating picture. This is what he looked like before he went into the war. But, going through some of his stuff, we found, his brother Leo was in the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
and, I'm sorry, he was in the Air Force, but they would be able to send home stipend money to their parents, because this is way before there was any kind of state aid or those kind of things. So these boys in the military would send home little stipends of money to help their parents live.
Mhm.
But, so yeah, it's kind of cool. And then I just happened to, we have this is a picture of his parents.
All right. Just... Okay, so before we finish the interview, is there anything that is there any stories or anything that we left out before we finish the interview? Is there anything that you think we need to know?
I think I told you everything.
You think?
He didn't always talk about it a lot growing up. My Uncle Al did a lot of talking, but being in the Marines, he was on the ground and saw a lot more killing. And he said that once they killed their victim, they would check their mouth for any type of gold and then take it from them. So just anything that was worth value on the bodies that they came across, they would take. Teeth, didn't matter what. And I thought, that's really morbid. That's just gross. But that's what they did, so.
Okay.
Anyway.
That concludes this interview. And thank you for your time. And
It's all right.
thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to get the like the little like the what's it called? The white lettering on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to get. It's hard to see. I'll just. Oh, here you
Did you
go.
find me on
Yeah,
this?
we found you.
Huh?
Yeah, you were you were smiling.
Did you guys edit this later out?
Yeah. I don't know. I think the library might. So yeah, thank you again for taking your time out of your day, and thank you for your service.